All right, I'm on hole number 9 of the Desert Dunes. Let's get to hole number 9. Hole number 9. So let's go check out hole number 9. I'm in the practice session. I shot this video yesterday, and I was half asleep. I don't know what I was doing. All right. So there's a lot of ways that you can come at this. You can try and lay up right here, and you're going at it from distance with a sniper. There are several ways that you can do the approach shot. You can do a rough bump right here, or you can bring a club that's got a little more backspin and try it on the other side. And your wind adjustment is going to be different depending on where you're at. So if you're laying it up here, you're higher up than if you're down here. So if you're hitting down here, so like if you're watching video from somebody and they go, oh yeah, you're supposed to do this adjustment, you got to look at where they're hitting it. So if they're just hitting it up and laying it up here, or if they're clipping this rough and they're in this area right here, but you're trying to get down here, these are going to be different. So you're going to have to work out the wind adjustment for where you're consistently getting. Obviously, doing the layup shot up here is going to be easier. And I don't necessarily think that you need to bring a big ball. Like you could bring a katana and still get it done if you've got, especially if you've got an upper developed sniper that's got the distance to get up there. If you don't have an upper developed sniper, let's say, then just bring a bigger ball. It'll push that red line forward. So if you got a level 6 or level 7 sniper, the reason we want to use a sniper is whenever we're doing a rough bump, the more ball guide we have, the better. So you could come at this with a big dog or some club that doesn't have a good ball guide, but the whole deal is that if you're trying to really give yourself a great shot for Albie, and this hole is a hole that we have a great shot at Albie. Even if you end up down here in the rough, you got a great shot at Albie. But if we're back here at distance, you're going to have to work this out for your club and what ball to get you into this range so that you're bringing your secondary club has got the best ball guide possible. If you're laying up here, I would bring the most accurate driver that you have. Whether that be a rock or a QB. A QB is going to be a better choice for most people because it's got a little bit more top spin. If you've got an upper developed rock, it's got a little bit of distance, so you're not, it'll work itself out. But for most people, I think a QB is going to be the way to go if you're just trying to lay it up. Now, if you're trying to get down here to this bottom fairway, on the drive, it carries more than, like if you're down here and you get your first bounce right here, you've got to get your second bounce on this fairway. Because if your second bounce clips the rough, it's going to clip the rough pretty close up to the top and it'll roll down and it'll get caught in the rough. If you can get your second bounce, even if it's halfway through the rough, then it'll probably bleed onto this fairway and you'll just be short right up here in the front. But if you can get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, completely clear, get bounce number 3 on the fairway down here without clipping it. And if you're in this area, it's not the end of the world. You got a great shot from there. And it's pretty flat down there. You're still just a little bit uphill, but not much. Not like you are when you're hitting from up here. But if you can get down here to the end, and the deal is this is one of those shots where if you can get your bounces right, so you get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, bounce number 3, you've had to stretch out your topspin so much in order to get these bounces right that it's very easy to end up rolling off. Where you'd really like to get, what's funny is you'll end up right here because of the angle from the tee. This is the shot. You've got all this room over here, but it's hard to get down into that area. Because your second bounce, you've got more room on the, let's look at our angles here. So we're playing from this tee box, and we're trying to get down into that area way down on the end. So you want to be, you're going to, depending on the ball you bring, you may have to be a little bit to the left in order to clear this rough. And the more you're to the left, the more it's putting you in here, you have more room over here. So it's one of those shots that I don't care who you are, I don't care what clubs you have in your bag. This is a shot that if you want to get down to that lower fairway, you're going to have to practice it with your clubs. And it may not take a 3-power ball to get down there, depending on your clubs. You may be able to do it with a 2-power ball. You may bring out a 4 or a 5-power ball so you don't have to do any overpower. And then it's just a matter of getting your bounces right. Ideally, if you don't have to do any overpower, you're going to end up with much more consistent results. I'm going to start off I'm just gonna go out there and play it. We'll just go play it, and I'll start off with. And I don't care if I time out the first time through. We'll go play this a few times and see what kind of bounces I can get down there on the bottom. I'll start off with a 3 Powerball, and we'll see how it goes. It seemed to me that if I was getting down there, and if I was doing overpower, so if you're using a 2 or a 3 Powerball, you had to use overpower. That it was tricky, and I think with varying wind, if we get headwind, it's going to throw that shot off. So you're going to have to practice this in order to get a really good feel for what you need to do with your clubs. Now, if you end up in the rough, even if you end up in the rough between the 2 fairways, if you've got a Nirvana, you can recover. I'd like to come out here, and because I may today come out here and do a max overpower hook shot and see if we can get up into this area right here where we're coming back down to it. See how close we can get. There's got to be a max overpower hook shot that we can do on the left-hand side. Let's see if my opponent can get over there. I wasn't paying attention to their shot. They're going to clip the rough on the high side. Are they going to get enough roll? No. No dice. Okay, we're in front. We got a tailwind. Let's see where my second bounce is. You see, that's too much topspin. Let's do about 5 and a little. And that's from that spot, we might be able to just bleed over to the other side. I'm going to do 4-3. I'm going to do 4-7. So there's 4-2. So that leaves me 4. So I'm going to do a little bit of an overpull. And I'm going to just try and hit it straight forward and see where it goes. Now that was 2,500 rings, great to the right, but we'll see if this bounce catches it. Part of that was me hitting it great to the right. It was a little bit shorter on the left-hand side, and I could have put on a little bit more topspin there. So that was 5 and a touch. So we'll try that again with 6. And I'm going to do, because I'm down here on the lower end, I'm going to do like a 10, maybe 15% adjustment. I'm going to start off with a 10. Close. Close. Now let's see if we can put it in the hole. I'm going to hit this perfect. It's going in the hole. Okay, there's max club. There's max. There's mid. So I'm in that 3/4-ish range. That's about 3 per ring. So 2.5 divided by 3. It's a little shy of 1 ring. It's 0.91. It's a little shy of 1 ring. Ah, that was great to the left, great to the right. Da 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 da. Distance would have been really close right there. It looks like it was short, but it's off on the left-hand side. So if it had been straight, it would probably still would have been short, but it would have been close, closer. All right, let's try that again. Let's try that however many times it takes. Let's try it with some varying winds. I know that you can go into the store. Let's go into the store. I know that you can go into the store and they probably got some crappy tea. There's bonus clam points, bonus trophies, bonus, what is that? What does that give you? Those are clam points. Those are bonus stuff for the thing. So there is nothing in here where you can get practice tokens. Why is there nothing in our shop where we can get practice tokens? Why? Because they want you to spend the $10 a month to buy the season pass so that you can get it. Or I know that you can get them in here as prizes, but it really is kind of ticks me off that you can't just go buy some. Just go buy them when you want them. Let's try that again. Let's try it again. Some of you are probably thinking, what the hell are you bitching about? I'll tell you the deal is I stopped playing. I used to play Clash of Kings. For anybody who's played Clash of Clans, Clash of Kings, or any of those types of games, and it's funny, 90% of the games that are out there right now are basically Clash of Kings knockoffs. Mafia City and all of these different ones. They're basically the same thing as Clash of Kings, but Clash of Kings was the first one. And talk about being able to spend money. You know, people go, "Oh yeah, you're stupid for spending $4 a month buying golf balls or $100 a month buying golf balls." In that game right there, if you wanted to compete, you were going to spend some money. You're going to bring out a wallet. And it got to the point where, like, if you blinked, they wanted you to pay for it. Now, Golf Clash has been really good over the years with not making us, not being too greedy, but it's definitely they've monetized it. All right, we got the same kind of win we had before. So before I'm going to do 6 and a little. Let's see where the hell that puts me. All right, that might be better. And let's see if how it carries down in there. I'm going to do 2-5, be about 2-7. There's 2-1, that leaves me 6. So it's about a ring and a third. And let's see if I can not hit it 75,000 rings great to the right. No, I hit it the same, 75,000 rings great to the right. Just barely made it over. I had tons of room on the left-hand side. So with a tailwind there, we're up against the red line doing that with 6 and a little topspin. So if we had a headwind there, I would definitely have to up that topspin. Let's see if my opponent does a max overpower hook shot here. And if they do, let's really watch where they're putting it. So they got their white ring. Oh, come on, man. I really wanted to see that. And I think when I get done shooting this video, no matter what happens on this one, I'm going to go out there and do a max overpower hook. Let's go out there and check it out. Let's go have some fun on these holes and see what the other ways are to play them. That's part of my issue is when you go watch stuff and people are talking about tournaments, it's always just one way. Like there's just one way. There's tons of ways to play these holes. That's the distance you're looking for, and let's see if they roll off. That's exactly that roll-off effect that I was talking about. I found myself when I try and get up there where my opponent's at, that kind of distance, that I end up where my opponent's at more often. Okay, there's max. There's mid. I'm about mid club, so it's 3.9 times 1.1 equals divided by 1.4 is 3.1 rings. There's 3, 1. Oh, I swear I can't hit a perfect to save my ass. And a perfect would have been real close. Had my speed a little wrong, but it would have been really close. I don't normally like to play. I don't know why I just didn't push it up there farther. It didn't feel right. But I usually like to play my short iron with one backspin, because then you have a lot more control over the distance. When you start putting topspin on a ball, it's hard to determine how it's going to roll out. What were you thinking? Damn, Ricky. This is part of the thought process when you're going through and playing these rounds. So, like, if you're trying to figure out, like, how it works for your game and you're trying to figure it out when you're going out there and you're practicing, if you've watched my videos for a long time, before we had the practice session, I'd go out there on Mondays. And you want to talk about, I had a bunch of people that would write give me comments like, this is shit. Like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you posting these videos? And it's like, because the whole thing is we're practicing. We're trying stuff out. We're trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out for myself, not just go like look at your notes and then go, okay, we can do that. Because a lot of times that's fine. You can shot. I mean, that obviously helps. But everybody's got different stuff. You may not have that special ball that they use for that, and you have something different, so you got to change the shot a little bit. What cracks me up is when you see people make shots and they go, well, that's the setup. I know that's the setup. Well, it didn't go in and you hit it perfect. So what adjustment are you going to make the next time you shoot that to try and get in the hole? No. That shot setup works. It's perfect. Okay? You do the same shot setup again, and then you hit it perfect and it doesn't go in the hole. All right, what are you going to do to change it? No. That setup works. They told me it works. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. So that's part of the thing about learning the game and being able to make adjustments. I find that the benefit of videos is that you can get a good start spot. And some of the holes, some shots people take, because my whole deal is I always like to be 2 rings off of any transitional surface. So I always like to be 2 rings away from the rough at a minimum. Sometimes you have to cheat just a little, but I like to give myself as much room as possible so that if you do hit a great to the left or the right, it doesn't kill you. And so sometimes you see people do shots and you're like, man, that shot is like a 1/16 of a millimeter off of. I'm gonna do a katana. I'm gonna practice this. I want to see like what kind of distance can we get up here. With that freaking headwind, we're not gonna get shit distance. That headwind's gonna kill this. Let's just see if we can get enough distance to get up in there. So let's think about our ring sets here. There's one. I'm going to go out into that area right there, and then I'm going to adjust just a little for the wind. I can go back and watch this video and see where that was set up. And we'll see if I went out too far or not far enough. I don't think I went out far enough. I could have went out just a little bit further and I would have got clean down into that area and got some roll out on that fairway. And that headwind didn't help. Now they're trying to get up here. Now you can get down there. You can get in the clear. It's just really difficult. Typically I found trying to get down in there, you have to put so much topspin on it to get down into that area that it's hard to stick it. Unless you can get the ball rolling to the right, because the fairway's longer on the right hand side, but it's hard to get that angle. That was definitely not what they're looking for, but you got a great shot from here depending on what your secondary club is. See how hard it drops off on the left-hand side. What we got? We're in Grizzly. There's Min. There's Max. So I'm about mid-club. What is mid-Grizzly? 1.1, so 3.3 times 1.1 equals divided by 1.1. It's 3.3. I'm back at 3.3. Let's get right up on that hole. 3.3 rings. There's 3 1/3. I'm gonna have to snap it. And I swear, what is that, 5 shots now and I haven't hit perfect yet? Distance was barely there. This hole, I think that this hole is very albuable. And it's albuable from all over out there. It doesn't matter if you're in the rough. It doesn't matter where you're out there. It's definitely hitting it perfect. But this is definitely a hole that we have an alby shot on. I think all 3 of the par 5s that are in this game, We have one of them, we have a great Albie shot on, especially if you're bringing a 3 side spin ball. I shot the video I shot on that hole the other day, I was using a 2 side spin ball, and you can't get the effect with a 2 side spin ball. It's got a great funnel. But the other 2 par 5s, you do have shots. This one is probably a little bit better than the other one, but you've got great shots for Albie on all 3 of the par 5s. Let's try that one more time. Let's try it one more time. Let's just burn some. Let's try that. You got to get, sometimes you find yourself in a spot in an opening or a weekend round where something happened and you feel like you're behind, and you got to go for it. And the whole deal is that you get on a hole like this and you're like, man, could I get up there? I'm having a hard time. This hole's eating my lunch. Could I do a max over par hook, or could I go at it from that side? And go out there and try that shot in practice, so that you can go out there in the round and you can go, okay, it's desperate times. I know that there is a shot over there, and I know I could do it. And I know it'll work out because I did it in practice. But it's one of those, like, if you hit it right, it's awesome. If you hit it wrong, you're in the brown stuff. Or you can go out there and practice and you try that shot and you go, man, that shot is not going to work, and get it out of your system. So when you get into that tight situation, you can go, okay, that shot's not going to work. I'm going to have to stick with what I'm doing. If you're like me, I find myself, especially when I first started playing, where you're like, oh, I should go for that shot, or I know that it looks like there's a shot over there, but getting it out of your system, having a game plan, and then sticking to it, feeling confident that you can stick to it and you don't have to make some, oh, shit. All right. I guess we're doing hole 9 the hard way. Let's just take a lower power ball. Let's not burn one. What's up, Buster boy? What's up, Buster? Hey, well, since we're here, shit, let's just go for it. We got the right kind of wind. We'll let that wind work for us. And we'll try and hit it and see if we can get some bleed up and get all the way up to the cup without clipping the rut right there. Perfect. Can't be good, be lucky. I've ended up in that sand quite a few times doing that shot, but I've ended up there in the fairway. It's probably a 50-50 deal. About 50% of the time I'm somewhere in the sand or behind the trees. But you can get through those trees. You can hit between the trees here. I've ended up in this area right here quite a few times, rough or sand, and there are lanes that you can hit through those trees. This is a hole that you're not going to be able to do that with a headwind unless you bring out a bigger ball. And I see a lot of people that do this shot right here and they end up just bleeding off in the rough. It drops off probably the last 7 or 8 feet. It drops off pretty hard, and it's very easy to end up rolling off into the rough. Wind will play just a little bit of a factor, so I'm going to hedge my bet. And I hit it great on the wrong side. I'll be lucky if that goes in. Just barely went in. If wind did not play a factor, that shot would went in, and it did go in. If wind was a factor, I would have been real close. I think I would have just barely missed it. Got a little lucky. I think of the cup as, you could say it's 8 miles an hour wide when you're up close like that, but I think of it as 4 miles per hour is half the cup. So from the flagpole to the edge of the cup is 4 miles per hour. So I moved it over so that I was half the distance from the flagpole to the edge of the cup. That's about 2 miles per hour. It was a 2.9 wind. All right, let's see if we can actually get on hole number 9. And I could pay attention in these practice rounds because I expect the game just to read my mind. What were you thinking? We'll try this with a Kingmaker. I'm going to try that max overpower hook shot again. So I needed to go out a little bit farther than where I was at. And I kind of remember where I was at. I like to take shots like that 2 or 3 times and then go back and watch the video, and I can see where I set it up. Normally what I do is I would take the shot, I would watch the video, see where I set up, go back out there, start from that spot, and you'll know. So like if you're too far to the, if you're too far to the right, you need to go further to the left in your setup. If you're too far to the left on your first bounce, then you need to go farther you need to come back to the right. And usually it takes 2 to 3 shots in order to get to the spot where you want. And then it's all about fine-tuning against the wind. Now, the way I work mine, and my buddy Dale Appleby and me had always talked about, like, the whole thing is it's everybody does stuff a little different. I like to find a spot and then take the wind out, because wind is a variable, and there's no other shot that we take out here when we're in the field where we're not adjusting for wind. So I find the spot that I want to start off in, and then I take the wind out. And he just kind of works it in. I don't know how the hell he does it. But he's very successful at it, so whatever he's doing is definitely right for him. Me and him always get a laugh because people comment to us and go, "Oh, you played that wrong." Well, yep. That's how it works. All right, I'm gonna get it right this time. Now let's see if we can put some stuff on it. Yeah, I think I was out in this area right here, and then I made an adjustment. So I need to come out to right there. So let's see where that's at. 2.6. Let's try that max overpower hook shot again. And see if we can catch the middle of the fairway. Just a little, I need to go out just a little teeny bit more, and that second bounce would have hit the fairway. And if it can hit the fairway, it'll give us at least another 50, 60 yards of forward distance. And I have plenty of room to move to the left. So there's plenty of fairway there, so I could move it out probably a good ring from where that setup was. So you can rewind it and go back there and look at where I had the ring set on that. And I moved it over about a ring from where I had it the last time. We'll practice this shot just because we're here, because the deal is it's always good to practice these shots. You get confidence in them. And I have no idea what the elevation is from over here. I know from over here you're not that much higher than the hole. We're definitely higher than the hole here. So 1.15 times 1.9. Where am I at in my club? There's max. There's man. So I'm about mid grizzly, which is 1.1 equals divided by 1.1. Right at about 2 rings. Two rings. Let's see if we can hit this perfect. Let's see if I can hit one freaking shot perfect today. Nope. No, I guess it's impossible. Just a bit outside. And from that spot, if I'd hit it perfect, I think I would have missed the same way on the other side of the cup. And I did a 15% adjustment right there. And from up in that area, it's probably closer to a 20 because it is higher. I don't think it's quite as high as if you laid it up on the right-hand side. I think if you're over on the right-hand side, you're probably going to be doing at least somewhere between a 20 and a 30%, 25%. You know, that's a good spot to start. And if you're in the lower section down there where you're actually hitting it in there, I don't think you need to do that much. It's pretty close. Maybe a 10% adjustment. But if you did hit to that side that I was on, I think it's going to be more towards the 20. Let's try that one more time. One more time. We'll burn one more. Let me go buy a ball here so I don't have to freaking buy it while I'm on the deal. Let's save myself a second. And I don't really want to burn one of those. I don't need all that stuff. We'll buy one more. No, you can't buy one at a time here. All right, I'll just buy 9. What the heck? They're only gems. Oh, whew. Almost screwed that up again. That would have pissed me off. Hole number 9. Damn game can't read my mind. So if you're all wondering, like, what happened to you, dude? You used to shoot like 40 videos a week and you did all of these rounds and all that stuff. I just don't have time to practice anymore. And what I found was with the stuff that's gone on with the bracketing and the way that the wind is, it's the scores at the top are not any different than they were in the past. It's tighter up at the top where you have to do really good in every round. And I was one of those players that, you know, I didn't really, I got better as the week went on. I didn't start off on fire. I got better as the week went on. So, like, you know, a decent qualifying round. If I could get a decent opening round, I like to start to put it together in the opening round. That was the whole idea, especially if you have a practice account, is like you'd like to see some progression in your main account in the opening round. But where the rubber meets the road is always in the weekend round. So if you look at my track history, that's the way it went. There was a lot of times if you watch my stuff, you're like, man, you're going to get smoked this week. And then I kicked ass in the weekend round. It was because it was a progression. But now you've got to be good in every round. And the only way you're going to get that way is if you practice. And I just don't have the 20, 30. If you're playing a lot and you're shooting videos, maybe 40 hours a week, I just don't have the time to put into it. So I'm just shooting videos for you guys so you can get a look at the holes and check them out. All right, so that last time I was right there. I'm going to go out a ring. So I'm going to put my yellow ring right on the edge of the sand, right in this area here. It's on the transition between the sand and the fairway. So 3, 4, there's 3, 2, 3, 1. There's about 3, 4. And I've pretty much got all of that. Let's see if I can catch it where I can get that second bounce. Now that's quite a bit farther out. Yep, I did catch it, but that was out too far. So you can go back and watch that video and you can see where I set up. I was right on the edge of that sand. I would be maybe half a ring. That was on my orange ring. I would put half the blue ring where it was on the transition between the sand and the fairway there, and that's where I'd start. Because before, I think I was on the outside of my blue ring. And it was just a little too much to the right. And only being 2 rings was just a little bit too much to the left. And we'll see what kind of distance I'm in, because I know if you're hitting from the other side, you're going to be in long iron range. And I'm in short iron range right here, so, you know, that's not a bad deal. There's Min Club. Or there's Max Club, Max Hornet. What kind of wind we got? So it's 2.9. 2.9, and I am way down there. 1.1 equals. And I'm at Max Club, so it's going to be right at 3.19 rings. .1 rings, 3.19. See if we can get lined up here. There's 3, 2. Oh shit! I hit it perfect. Oh, I can't believe I got that off in time. Ooh, close. And that was with a 10% adjustment right there. So if you're over on that side, and we'll go back as soon as we're done here, and we'll look to see where you're at. But that's another way that you could play this. And I think that from that side over there, you could play that with a three power ball, even in some headwind. You may not get all the way over if you're in 3 headwind. And if you bring out a 4 power ball, you'd have to practice with a 4 power ball. But that is an option over there, and it gets you in a short iron range. And there is room on the table, especially if you brought a 4 power ball or even a 5 power ball. You might be able to get all the way up there, especially with an Apocalypse. I was trying it with an extra mile because I think most of you will have extra miles, even though not all of you have maxed out extra miles. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. I had an extra mile 8 for a long, long time, and they came out with the club card trading a year or two ago, and day 1 I had an extra mile 9. So don't blame me. I didn't ask for it. They gave it to me. I was happy with my extra mile 8. So let's look at that. So these trees that were over here, and I don't think these trees are right in this from what's on the course. But I was out in this trajectory right here. It's definitely not right. So this area out here is different in the Jamal holes than it is here on the Dreaded Dunes look. Trying to catch this. So I barely cleared right here and was able to catch it, but I barely caught it on the other side. And then that other time, the second time I tried it, I caught it about right in here and hit and was able to bleed out. But the shortest spot is right there. So if I could hit somewhere in between those. So if you go back and look at that video, there was sand here and there was rough here, and I was 2 rings off of that transition. I would move it over a half a ring to try and get into this range right here so that your first bounce is here and your second bounce has more room to clear. Now, if you're going against a headwind, that could be a problem there where you clip the rough and you just bleed through. But look at how much room there was in front of my shot where I hit. If you brought out a 4 or a 5 power ball, and where I was at right there was out in this area. So let's pan back. If you tried that with, you've got plenty of room up here in front of you. And this is on a hill that's going up. So if you do engage that hill, it's going to be more apt to get up to the top and then possibly roll back down. So there's tons of forward room here. I mean, I could see this, especially if you've got an upper developed Apocalypse. You'll have more curl, so you're going to have to adjust your starting spot. But I think with an extra mile, if you brought out a bigger power ball, you could end up here in the rough. And you'd have to work this angle. But hell, you could get down into here. I was in a short iron range right there. I was right at the transition. So max short iron range. And could have very easily taken that with mid grizzly or minimum grizzly. So you could get more forward distance doing a max overpower hook shot, trying to get yourself out in this area. I left a lot on the table because there was so much room right here. And that's just the difference between a power 3 and going up to a power 4 or a power 5 ball and working that shot out. Now with an extra mile, I think with a power 3 ball, looking at the difference in distance here, if you can clear on the other side, you could end up in this area. But because of this backboard effect here, if you could get far enough up into that, it's going to roll down. It's not going to roll all the way back down to the green, but you could get some distance to it and end up in this. If you've got an Apocalypse, instead of coming in where your trajectory's coming in and you're going like this, you could skim this line a little bit more and pick up some distance. But I think that for those of you out there that like to do max overpower hook shots, that's definitely an option. And you could have some fun with it. If you're having, if the area that's out here, you're not liking what you're getting out here, you're not getting to the right spot, that max overpower hook might be something that you could do just to have some fun. All right, that was hole number 9. Good luck in the tournament, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.